Holy freaking crap. Even when I'm trying to get to Mushroom Kingdom, the Mushroom Kingdom is putting out news. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. Switch 2 info, rumor, leak, magic is happening as it's dark outside and I'm literally about to drive to Super Nintendo World and ride the ride, eat at the Toad Cafe, grab the merch, cover the experience for myself and for all of you. But we got Switch 2 to talk about, and so it could not delay, it could not wait. This is huge. This is generation changing. I mean, quite literally, it's generation changing. That's what we're talking about here. And so I want to fill you in because if you recall, the last video I made was talking about the Switch 2 leak tied into Pokemon Presents. Now you can go watch that video. It's the last video I uploaded for all the details and like the specific wording of the leak. But basically, there was a February 24th leak for a February 27th Pokemon Presents, the one that kind of sucked. And the Pokemon Presents played out exactly like this leak said, especially in terms of the DLC for Scarlet and Violet. They knew the name of the DLC, okay? They knew exactly the 2 Pokemon that would be given right after the show. They knew the pre-order bonus for pre-ordering the DLC. They knew the 2 DLC split and the names. They knew everything. But at the end of this DLC leak, at the end of this Pokemon Presents leak, they said that they're working on a graphics update for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet that will hit the new Switch models when DLC 2 launches. The new Switch models. And as we talked about, there's no new Switch model out there, and an OLED special edition doesn't count. Excuse the great background. And instead of, beautiful drawings from Miyamoto, we have an ironing board. I saw there's a sign at Super Nintendo. Oh, we're upgrading this setup. But anyways, Nintendo, according to this leak, is upgrading the Switch with a new version, Switch Pro, Switch 2, late 2023. And the DLC is winter 2023, so the system would have to be out before then in order for them to release a graphics update that coincided with the DLC 2 release. The teal mask is one, and then the indigo disc, right? So that's when it's supposed to drop. Not the system, but the graphical update. Now, that's just a random 4chan person who claims they work and clearly has some knowledge because they got the Pokemon Presents correct 3 days before. But tonight, Jeff Grubb himself, the shaved head mastermind behind the Metroid Prime HD leak, which didn't go according to plan, but did actually happen. We do have Prime Remastered. It is glorious. It did happen. Jeff Grubb has been up and down, but I think with the actual release of Metroid Prime, some people have to kind of give him the benefit of the doubt. He may not have it perfect, but he knows stuff. And now he is saying that he's also heard a rumor about Switch 2 dropping later this year, and he gives a 45% chance of the brand new next-gen Switch launching in 2023. Now, I don't know where he pulls 45% from, but this is now building. Where there's smoke, there's fire, and this leak is now on fire because it's no longer just a random person that mysteriously had info. It's now a major Nintendo gaming source saying, yo, I've heard similar stuff. And remember, this person from this 4chan link, they claim that they work at an outsourcing programming place for the Pokemon company. So that would be like a direct link to what Pokemon is working on. And you imagine they have knowledge because of what they're developing on what Nintendo's future plans are. Now, Jeff Grubb is coming at it from a completely different side where he knows journalists, he knows publishers, he knows developers, and he hears things via sort of what gets around and what gets sort of scuttlebutt grapevine throughout all these different avenues. 2 very different types of people, 2 very different sources providing a similar thing about Nintendo putting out a brand new Switch. Now, Grubb does say 45% chance of launching this year because if you specifically listen to him, he makes it sound like the rumor he's heard is that they would announce the system late 2023. But he's given it a 45% chance of also launching in late 2023. Now, this is weird because we know Zelda's coming out in May, and why wouldn't Nintendo just tie this all into Zelda? And I was thinking this through. But if Nintendo is going with a upgrade style, whether it's Switch 2, Switch Pro, but if they're going with a unified gaming library, then I guess it doesn't matter because you only be releasing one cartridge. Right? The Tears of the Kingdom cart will work on any system, and maybe you just incentivize people to get the new system to play the game better. Now, I feel like it makes sense to launch it alongside business-wise, but maybe May is not a great time. Maybe it's not ready, and maybe Nintendo has a launch lineup that's actually insanely impressive. Perhaps there's a Mario Odyssey 2 or something of that caliber, Metroid Prime 4, ready to go, and they don't need Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom can sell just great in May, and then the new system can be adopted and they can use Zelda as a bargaining chip, but not as the main draw. And maybe from a mindshare standpoint, from what they're trying to convey, the way they're trying to sell this system as an upgrade rather than a mandatory new thing, maybe it makes sense to actually avoid the Zelda launch to skip out on brand confusion. And we know Nintendo has struggled mightily with that. The Wii U, the prime example of brand confusion. They've done so great with the Switch. And keeping a unified ecosystem, but then putting out two versions or saying you can get it for either one, I don't know, maybe that would create a lot of controversy and debacle, and maybe even direct comparison, which is something they maybe don't want. In some ways, maybe Tears of the Kingdom isn't the best game to showcase what the Switch Pro or what the Switch 2 can do. Now, there's a chance Nintendo could go hog wild and just have this new Switch 2 have all different style of games and not be backwards compatible, but the belief is, and the sensible thing, is that it will continue to work, and it will just be an enhanced Switch that plays and runs better. And who knows, maybe Tears of the Kingdom, Breath of the Wild 2, maybe it's not the best game to really highlight that, and maybe they would prefer to use something more graphically impressive, more like Metroid Prime 4, to be sort of the linchpin for why you buy the new system. Now, if we're going to gear up to a launch in the second half of 2023, that means that they would have to announce it in the summer. I mentioned this in the other video that, hey, like, E3 aside, Nintendo has to announce this sometime soonish, like in the summer months. They can't announce it in October and launch in November. Not with hardware. You can't do that. It can't be a Twitter reveal. But maybe this lines up with why Nintendo says that E3 just isn't fitting their plans this year, because perhaps their reveal event is July or August, and they really don't want to talk about it in June. Maybe they don't have new Switch stuff to really show off, and therefore E3 has to be avoided, not because they've got nothing to show, but in fact because they have so much to show, it's just not the right time. And then that would be taking Nintendo literally at their word that it doesn't fit into their plans, rather than an excuse that they just don't have anything to show. If you recall, Andy Robinson from VGC and a number of other sources, IGN included, kind of seemed to indicate that Nintendo had a very light second half. But could these sources not know about Nintendo's plans for a brand new system, and perhaps that is jading their impression of Nintendo's calendar slate? It hasn't really been revealed yet, because it legitimately hasn't been revealed yet. Nintendo will continue making games beyond Pikmin 4, and we know their investors want to see what is happening at the end of the year. The second half of the year entirely. But maybe it's just not time for them to tell yet, and perhaps that explains the slightly strange February Direct, and the odd maneuvering around E3 this summer, and the strange feedback we're hearing about why Nintendo is doing what they're doing. Honestly, this would make the most sense. It would be the best case scenario, and it would line up perfectly. It also would not screw your wallets in May for $70 for Tears of the Kingdom and then $400 for a new Switch. It would spread out the pain and allow you to make the gain, if you know what I'm saying. I think this is now gaining traction to a point where we have to take it pretty seriously. The fact that it was a 4chan post and the fact that it was just like, oh, a random person, you know, maybe they just threw that in there to throw people off. Maybe they saw the presents but then just wanted to raise some hell. They just wanted to cause commotion. But now with Jeff Grubb being a very reliable person, not just in his leaks, but just in how he covers games. I know he's been wrong about stuff, Wind Waker, Twilight Princess. He shaved his head, he paid the price. But either the dude is going to be shaving his head again, or we're really gearing up towards something big. Now, I don't think it's that far stretched to say Nintendo is working on a new system. That part is inevitable. But I don't think anyone really believed anymore that a 2023 launch was plausible. I think everyone was looking ahead to 2024 and 2025 and saying, okay, this is where the next Nintendo system drops. Whether it's a half step, a full step, a new gen, whatever they call it, Switch Plus, I have no idea. But now it feels like more and more the second half of 2023 is left wide open for this launch specifically. In which case, man, we got a lot to be excited about. We got a lot to get ready for, and I'm going to try to keep my enthusiasm contained at least for a bit. We need to see more about what Nintendo's doing over the summer months. Because if we get to say like mid-August and we don't hear nothing, then it's very unlikely that it would launch in 2023. They could have an end-of-the-year event to reveal the system in a similar way to how they revealed Switch at the very end of December. It would line up with that, and then it would provide the opportunity for another March launch. But maybe they want a holiday launch this time, because most likely PlayStation and Xbox don't have new hardware, so this would give them free reign to just capitalize on holiday shoppers, Black Friday, yada yada. I don't know, but I'm insanely excited. I'm going to say good morning to Mario now. I'm going to ride the rides. This is a fantastic day for that reason, but the prospect of a new Switch dropping this year is insanely exciting. You know I've wanted a new one for a long time. You know I think it's high time Nintendo invests in performance and graphics. And Grubb is now 45% on board, or at least 45% on board with a launch this year. The rumor about it being announced this year, he didn't give a percentage on. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. I think this is big news. It is gaining fire. It is gaining traction. And we'll wait to see if Bloomberg or any other sources start to pop up. But 2023 could go from, oh gosh, Nintendo might have a dull year, to holy crap, massive year. So we'll stay on this beat and figure out what's going on. In the meantime, though, thanks so much for watching, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive. I'm going to drive up there. Hopefully the rain stops. And until next time, thanks again. Switch Force out.